In this video, we're going to talk about setting up your command manager. Whenever working in SolidWorks, it's important to be familiar with the modeling environment. SolidWorks gives users a lot of control to help customize that environment. The first thing you notice when you open SolidWorks is the command manager located at the top of your modeling window. There are several tabs on this command manager, and by right-clicking on any of these, you'll get a few more options of different tabs that you can activate. The modeling practices we're going to look at for this video series, we're going to focus on features, sketch, surfaces, and evaluate. Today I want to show you guys how to add a few features to these command managers, and I want to show you guys a few different options for how you can get around your modeling environment. The first thing I want to show you is by right-clicking on the command manager, you can activate a bunch of toolbars. Let's look at curves for instance. The curves toolbar can be docked in several locations. You can dock it at the top of your window, to the right of the command manager, the right side of the window, even the bottom in different areas. Lots of users like to use these types of toolbars, especially if you come from other software that was heavily based in toolbars. I'm going to right click and I'm going to turn the curves toolbar off because we're going to focus on a few other ways that are going to be a little bit more efficient. To get around SolidWorks, it's important to be comfortable with how you want to model. So let's start by looking at how to customize the command manager. By right clicking on the command manager, I'm going to scroll all the way down and select Customize. The first thing we want to do is go over to the Commands tab and down to Features. You'll notice that once we open this Customize window, all the available tabs are now shown. The darker ones are the currently active tabs. The lighter colored ones are the ones that we haven't turned on. With the exception of a few over here, these are add-ins, KeyShot and Mastercam, and this new tab, which is basically a blank tab. There's also an option all the way to the right that allows you to create your own tab, or you can put different features on. We're going to focus on adding different commands to our current tabs. So we have the Features tab active. In our Commands dropdown, we have Features selected. We're going to go ahead and add a few. The first thing I'm going to drag up there is Split, Combine, and Join. If for some reason you have features that you've added to your tab that you don't want, you simply drag them back down. The next thing we're going to look at is the Sketch tab. I'm going to go down, select Sketch, and I'm going to add Parabola, Conic, and Sketch Picture. I think that's all we're going to do to customize our command manager, but let's take a look at some of the other things we can do to customize our user environment. The next thing we want to look at is a shortcut bar. By default, when you hit the S key in SolidWorks, a shortcut bar is going to pop up wherever the cursor is located. The shortcut bar will be different based on the environment you are located in. For instance, if we're in the assembly section, then you're going to see a different set of options that pop up. If you're in the drawing section or the sketch section, you'll get a different set as well. So today, let's go ahead and just add a few things to the part. So from our toolbar dropdown, I'm going to go to Tools, and I'm going to add our Measure tool and our Mask Properties tool. And then I want to go to the Curves section, and I want to add Split Line, and I want to add Projected Curve. Now you see I've actually got two split lines on here. Same thing with our Feature tab. We just want to drag one off and then remove it from our pop-up. The next thing I want to look at is Keyboard. Now this is great. If you guys are using 3D mice, then you probably aren't going to use too many keyboard shortcuts because you have buttons located on the 3D mouse. But for me, whenever I get into a sketching environment, rather than on my 3D mouse select the 2D button, I simply create a few quick keys. For instance, I'm going to show all commands, and then under the Show section, I'm going to do Commands with Shortcuts. So what I want to look at here are a few of the ones that are already created inside SolidWorks. So you can see there are a lot of Control+N creates a new document, Control+O opens a document, Control+S saves. These are a lot of standard shortcuts within Windows. Now if we go to different ones such as our tools, these are just a few that I use on a regular basis. For instance, Line is standard when you install SolidWorks as the L key. Circle, I use the R key for. Spline, Convert Entities, Trim, and Construction Geometry are four that I use a lot, especially when dealing with surfaces. You're going to draw a lot of splines, so it's good to have a quick key on the keyboard to quickly draw your spline. Convert Entities and Construction Geometry are real handy whenever you want to bring in information such as an edge or a face from your part or from another sketch. Trim, especially when you're doing offsets and things of that nature, you want to use the trim command. So these are just a few that I create shortcuts for. You'll probably see me throughout the video series use these shortcuts as opposed to selecting them on our tabs. Now I will select them on their tabs the first few times and mention when I use the shortcut keys. But this really does speed up your modeling when you start to get into using shortcut keys and using things that are built into SolidWorks. The next thing I want to just touch on here is mouse gestures. Now, when you start SolidWorks, for the past couple versions, you've had the ability to use mouse gestures. And again, this is the same thing. The mouse gestures are going to be different whether you're in the part environment, whether you're in a sketch environment, and so on. So it's important to set these up if you want to use them. You'll notice in the window we have part, assembly, drawing, and sketch, and that's so you can see where the commands are used within those environments. I'm going to go ahead and just look at the view section, scroll down, and you'll notice that in part and assembly, zoom to area is right mouse button and down and to the right. Now, since we're in the customize window, nothing is going to happen, but if I hold the right mouse button down, we'll get a grayed version of the mouse gestures. So you can see this is a quick way to set up some features and tools right at the tip of your mouse. I usually don't use mouse gestures, so I'm going to disable them, but a lot of users find that mouse gestures can really speed up their modeling process, so I urge you to take a look at all these different options and set things up so that it's efficient and quick for you. The last thing I want to note is right-clicking the mouse button. A lot of times you'll have this recent commands when you use the mouse button. This is going to be a great way, especially if you don't have a tool really set up on a quick key or maybe on your shortcut menu. If you use something a lot, you might end up adding it to your shortcut bar. But for the time being, if you find yourself using a command quite a bit, a lot of times you can right-click and go to that recent command, and that'll let you grab that pretty quickly. All right, so now that we've taken a look at setting our command manager up, I think that we can go on and continue the modeling process, so please join us in the next video.